then, on a new adventure, and it's April 2023, and myself and a few of the Handcraft guys have just plotted up at a beautiful lake called Lac Baleine, which is in sort of northern France, I guess, not far from Vitry. Now, I've been watching this lake for a number of years. The fish that are in here are definitely growing, and it's definitely an up and coming venue, and it's in real safe hands now with the two guys that are now running it, Peter and Jamie. We're here for a week. I've got lads from all around the country and also one guy from Switzerland, our friend Ben. I'm really looking forward to this. It's a fairly shallow lake. It's been dyed blue. There's a bit of weed around. It's really interesting to fish, and the lake itself is beautiful. So without further ado, I guess we should get a few more rigs tied, get some bait prepped. It's day one, we're absolutely shattered. I think we'll probably be a little bit more on the case tomorrow, but for now, I'm going to tie up a few spare rigs, get some bait prepped, have some dinner, and let's see what the first night brings. It's always exciting on the first night, isn't it? But I'm doubly excited to be here, so we'll probably catch up in the morning. Hopefully we'll have a fish to show you. Now, it's always a gamble when you come to a new lake. When you're not really sure exactly what bait you should bring, you know, we don't know anything about the lake. But the one thing that I have learned over the years is that if you're going to test something, you need to test it in a whole variety of different situations to see if it actually works. So when everyone decided what bait they were going to bring here to Baleine, most of the guys went for what they know works, herb, a little bit of trick nut. I decided I was going to come with the test bait that we've been working on for the last 6 months, maybe a year. And some people might think, well, that's a bit of a crazy thing to do because you're on your week's holiday, you don't know anything about the lake, and you're using a bait that you don't know if it works or not. But again, for me, it's a very important part of bringing out something new is I need to know how it is working in the variety of situations that we're going to face. Now, this is a very rich natural lake. There's a good head of carp in here. I'm not fishing at any major range. I can see what's going on over the spots, and it's a prime time to give it a proper testing. So I brought plenty of the new bait with us. Now, the new bait, it's been getting a little bit of publicity. A lot of people are really liking it. It's a squid-based bait. Now, squid-based boilies have been around since the Dark Ages, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but I have got some very nice new ingredients that have only just come onto the market. So it should work all year round. It's got some nice milk proteins in it, it's got some nice bird food, and it's very, very high in liquids. It's a nice soluble bait, and we're still mucking around with it to make sure that it rolls okay, and to see how far we can go with certain ingredients before there's any sort of detrimental effects. So I've been really enjoying this. I've been feeding it to a lot of carp back in the UK where I can actually watch and see what their reaction is to the bait, and it's been very, very positive. That's a great sign. And we're now spreading the net a little bit wider and giving it out to quite a few people, a few customers and a few of the team members to see if it does work in the cold. And again, the response has been very, very good. So before I came, I crumbed up some of the baits. I like to bring some crumb with me at all times, whether I'm using it in a solid bag, whether I'm spodding it out. I think all those different sized particles clinging to the bits of weed can hold fish in your swim for a lot longer. So brought plenty of crumb, plenty of the actual boilies. I've bought like 10-15 kilos with me. They're all freezer baits, 15 millers. I'll be crushing some now on my fingers and putting out plenty that are whole. I've got some soaking in some lake water, a little bit of the shrimp hydro that goes with it. I want to see how they soften with lake water and you know, mush them up a little bit and get them out with a spawn tomorrow or the day after. I also want to see how long it takes the bait to go off, because that's one thing that a lot of people forget about. You know, when you're using fresh eggs and fresh ingredients, how long does your bait take before it goes off? Now, we know that all of the good baits in the world tend to go off quite quickly, but there seems to be a trend in the UK market for baits that have got a lot of preserves in them and they don't ever seem to go off. Now, all of our baits that are freezer baits, when it's warm, will turn day 2, 3 or 4. And the warmer it is and the worse you look after it, the quicker it will turn. So here, we're doing a few tests here. Got some matching food bait wafters here. Oh, they look so good. And I like the idea of casting out something that is actually made of the same base mix and attractors that the boilie is. So they look the part. I know the carp aren't going to spook off them. They're a nice brown colour. Can't wait to catch one on one of those. Now, I did edge my bets with one of my rods on a bright pop-up because it's the spring and sting is such a good cold water catcher for me. So I've got a rod out there on a sting pop-up just in case. But we're going to give it a proper testing, and you'll probably get to see a little bit more as the week pans out. You're going to get to see some of the other guys. Hopefully they might show you some of their rigs and techniques. I'm sure we'll see a few nice carp. And if all else fails, I'll film myself cooking a sausage sandwich or eating some biscuits, because that seems to be the bang on trend thing to do. So a little update, I guess, from the end of day one. Day one here being a Monday, because you arrive on a Sunday at Bulleen. So yeah, not a thing to report. And when I say not a thing, I mean nobody out of 8 anglers covering the entire lake has caught anything. And that's a bit of a surprise for us, because, well, it is a surprise and it isn't. Coming to a new lake always takes a little bit of time, doesn't it, to work it all out. And I've brought some really good anglers with me here to Bulleen, and the guys last week had actually caught a few fish. It was all looking rather promising, but the weather yesterday was really, really cold. I mean, we all got out the van and put on thermals and jackets, and it was a northerly wind, and that's never a great thing in carp fishing, no matter where you are in the world. So I had a feeling we were going to struggle. A couple of interesting things. This morning when everyone got up, Cav flew a drone, because he's a techno nerd and he's got every little gizmo that you can imagine, apart from a bait boat. He decided that he was going to go up and sort of see where the fish were, and he found 2 or 3 groups of fish. It was dead interesting to see where he found them, because he found them on the back of the wind, and he found them on the far side of the lake that you're sort of looking across to, behind that island that you can see. But either side, and they were going mad. They'd smoked up the water. It wasn't where anyone had baited. In fact, it was definitely in between where people had baited. So whatever the carp are doing, they're doing it on something natural. I'm sat here now looking for fizzers, because I did see a few carp feeding in front of me to the right here this morning. They fizzed for about half an hour and the ripples got too bad. And ironically, I thought I'll wind in a rod, put on a little tiny pop up and flick it past it and wind it back to it. And I got pretty close to where they were feeding, and the lead went down and I got a bit of a drop, and I thought it was really clear. After it had all finished, I decided to get the marker rod out, and I whacked it out there, and it was really thick weed. It's not very tall weed, it's about 1.5 feet, but I couldn't get a drop. So that one chuck with the rod must have been a lucky drop, but it never went off. So maybe that cast was enough to spook them. But I did see fish feeding. It gave me a little bit of confidence, and there is still bait out there from the previous occupants, the previous week's anglers, and I know that because I've been watching the birds go out to a little spot on the edge of that island where I haven't been anywhere near, and they're diving down and picking up bait and taking it back to their young. So there is definitely bait out there from the previous occupants. We've had some horrific storms in the last little while, and we're just about to get another one. I think there's big black clouds coming, so I'm going to batten down the hatches and probably retire to my sleeping bag, because there is nothing else to do. I've got the rods back out. It's all looking okay. My rods wound in lovely. They smelt nice and fresh. The hook bait smelt lovely, but they're still sitting perfectly. There's nothing wrong with how I'm presenting. I just don't think the fish are there to eat it. So, but it's only day one, and I'm still dead excited. So let's see what tomorrow brings. The fact that no one else has caught a carp and we're covering the whole lake is a bit interesting. I think we need to be a little bit patient, let those carp get through perhaps the existing bait that is out there, and keep learning a little bit about the lake. And I'm sure by Tuesday or Wednesday we'll all know a lot more, and hopefully the weather will perk up a little bit. So yeah, fingers crossed. Daily report over. Hopefully the next time we're panning around there'll be a nice fat French lady in someone's arms. £30 I reckon. It's quite heavy, quite dense. There you go then, first one of the trip for me. Little Sting, 12mm pop up, just a single. Punched into the weed where we thought there might be. Nice to be off the mark. Hopefully the first of many to come. There you go, one last little look. Lovely big fins on it. Yeah, nice clean looking carp. Thank you, Beline.
Nice clean and nice colours on it, I think.
Just had a crazy bit of stalking. Found a load of fish in a bit of weed where Paul had been having a little go earlier in the rain. And 2 bites as quick as I could blink, and one that I've foul looked. But it's nice to get a bit of action. I'll show you the first one. Long and lean. I think he's a mid-20. He's going to beat me up. Oh dear. Alright fish, we'll have a quick look and then we'll let you go, I promise. There you go. Nice mid-20, good old Sting pop up, only took a few minutes. There's the first one. Nothing quite like being double parked. And here's the other one, similar sort of size.
Skills that man.
He swam off. Oh well, handcraft all the way. It's been a pretty frantic hour of stalking. We had that double take, had another take which I foul looked, and another take which I lost, and now another real long hard fighting typical Beline mirror. £31 that one. Fought like an absolute tank, did not want to give in. And every single one on that little 12mm Sting, they just can't get enough of those. Fished on the silkweed, little heli safe on a drop off. Nice simple fishing. I reckon there could even be more to have. So I'll take a £30 all day long on a wet horrible day. Nice one, let's get him back. Now this is how I like to fish whenever I can. It's very easy to come to France and sit behind 3 bite alarms and a nice comfortable swim, and we've all been doing that this week because this is the first time we've been to the venue and we don't know any different. But it's been very clear to us straight away that if you move and get on fish, the bites can be really, really quick. And today is a prime example of that. I know that some of the guys have been stalking down in the sort of narrower arm and they've been getting bites pretty quick and lots of liners. And Paul actually fished this swim this morning. He was fishing it probably a little bit too far out and he said he was getting loads of liners. And I walked past it to come and see Mark Brady and I saw a lot of fish in close. So I whipped back, picked up my motionless rods, and came back down, and I'm so glad I did because the lines twitched from the second I cast them in and I just knew that I was fishing a little bit too far, so I wound it back and back behind this weed bed and the bites were instant. The first one I'd hooked in the tail, which was odd really. I'd see a big patch of frothy bubbles, cast behind it, wound it back, the bite was really quick, and obviously whether he went for it or not I don't know, but either way it was a big one, probably 38, 39. And I'd hooked it in its tail, so we just slipped it back, put the rods back out, and the lines were twitching straight away again. And I've just had 3 fish in very, very quick succession, and it couldn't be more simple. I know the bottom out there is filthy. I can feel that it's on very low lying weed that's about 6 inches long, but that is where they want to feed. So I just put a little tiny Sting pop up on a little balance rig on a heli safe on fluorocarbon straight through, and I don't really like fishing like that, to be fair, but in this situation it's absolutely perfect. And the lines just twitch and then they just rip off, And yeah, I've had 3 fish up to 31 pound. I would have definitely caught nothing sat behind my rods, all on single yellow hook baits. For whatever reason, around the lake this week so far, Sting has been the absolute go-to. Everybody has caught on them, whether it's because they feed the fish maize or it's just because they're a good little single hook bait, whatever. But they've just outfished everything. The fish are not interested in bait, we know that now. The guys that have put a bait in, it's probably all still laid out there. The fish are whipping around the lake, caning the naturals off the weed, and that is where you've got to fish for them. And that's what we'll do. So I'm going to give it another half an hour here and see what happens. Absolutely love fishing like this. I'd do it all the time if I could. Let's get another one and try and be a 50 pounder this time. Not sure if you can pick that up out there. There's a lot of fishing going on, considering I've just battered 3 fish out of there, and well, 4 fish, and lost one. There is something that they want in front of this swim. Not really sure what it is. Pretty sure it's naturals. None of us have put any food there, but they want to be there, and that is where you must fish. Still see them fizzing out there just behind all this floating scum. Can only be 30 yards out. I can see that the water is a very milky grey blue where they're kicking up all the clay. There's at least 2 of them out there still, because I can see 2 separate patches of bubbles coming up at the same time. Definitely worth another hour. Pop next door to see Paul. He's into one. Give me skinny, mate.
Bit of stalking with my old mate Gav, who's been having quite a few bites. I've gone in the swim next door. Was after a slightly bigger one we were, and here he is. All 47 pound of him. Happy with that. Only my 3rd fish of the trip though, but I'll take that all day long. Happy days.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Bring on the bigger ones.
Well done, mate. Oh no! Oh no! Quick, catch it, Paul! You've hit a tree! Oh, he's killed it.
No, luckily
He
not.
just caught it. That's killed it, isn't it?
I'm not sure. It's made it. That's folded in.
Ah, the donut hit a tree.
Okay, so same spot as the as that 60 pounder earlier on in the week. It's been quite slow down this end, but I did have a feeling they were creeping back in the night time, and about 2 in the morning the line has started. And yeah, first light off it eventually went. Hopefully more to come.
So it's coming towards the end of the week for us here at Bulleen, and it has been a very enjoyable trip. We have still got tonight and tomorrow to look forward to, and I think that the weather has definitely swung round in our favour after the start of the week being incredibly cold and the fishing was pretty rubbish. At one time we did talk about going home, but I'm glad we stayed because today we had a huge barbecue, everyone got together, had a few beers. And the fishing in the last 24 hours has actually been a lot better. I had a good afternoon stalking yesterday. I caught quite a few fish as quick as I could cast out. And this morning I moved into another little channel and I caught a couple really quickly again. And some of the other guys are starting to get a few bites now, and it's really switched on. So it just shows you how important like your timing and the weather is when you come on these trips to France. Now, one thing that's become really clear here at Bulleen is that if you sit in one swim, you are running a huge risk. I'm pretty sure those open water swims always produce, and I'm sure it does produce some big hits of fish, but from what I can see in the time that I've been here, the fish actually do get around the lake quite a lot. And sitting in one swim means that you're going to have days when they're on you and days when they are not. Now, if the whole lake is packed out and obviously you can't move, you are probably snookered. But because we had it as a group of 8 anglers, there was always going to be swims available, and many of us have moved around, and I think that's been a huge part of why we've started to catch in the last few days. Bait doesn't seem to be a huge factor here. Now, I was really hoping to have a play with sort of new baits and bits and pieces while I was here, but to be honest, it's spring, and in the back of my mind when I came here, I knew that if we probably chased around with bright hook baits, it would probably be a very good technique, and that's exactly how it's turned out. Sting hook baits have probably caught 99% of the fish this week, and we worked that out pretty quickly. A bright one in their face wherever it is you're fishing over, whatever it is you're trying to fish over, is a brilliant technique here, and Sting has caught 99% of the fish. It always does seem to in the spring, but here it has been ridiculous how good that bait has been. I even caught 3 fish on the same pop-up yesterday, which is quite funny. So yeah, you know, bear that in mind if you come in the spring. Keep a few options, bring your bright hook baits, be prepared to go on your toes. The great thing about this lake is the fact that it's a long sort of narrow lake with islands and bays, and it's dead interesting. I found the whole lake really interesting. The lake is the water is very clear, and when the carp turn up and they start feeding, they turn it like a milky blue colour. So it's not difficult to find where they're feeding. Now, hopefully, we've still got, say, 2 more nights to go before we pack down, and 1 whole day. I'm hoping to get a bit more action, and hopefully we can find them in some of the other swims. Ben's got to go back to Switzerland tomorrow, and it frees up a little bit more of the lake. And that's the sort of fishing that I love doing now. Sitting behind 3 rods, I just find that mind-numbingly boring now. So I'm hoping for 1 big fish. I haven't caught anything over 40 pounds yet, but there has been a few 40s out today. I think Paul's caught a couple, and obviously Cav had that real nice 60 at the beginning of the week. Just 1 more angler to get on the score sheet, and we can all go home pretty happy. So it's coming down to the evening. I'm going to get the bed ready, sit and read a book for a couple of hours, try and unwind, and hopefully catch a few more fish overnight or tomorrow first thing. We'll catch up with you then. You are away.
Righto. Hopefully one of Lac Bulleen's better specimens than what we have had. Come on, mate. Oh. Look at that for £56 worth of common. What an absolute peach. That's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
On a little tiny 12mm stinger.
Tiny 12mm stinger on a Ronnie, about a foot to the bead, and literally pinged into where we've seen them showing all week pretty much. And yeah, pinged it out last night, last knock-ins about 12 o'clock, and rattled off 1 tone in this morning at about 7:05. And that's the rewards for it. What a place.
Well done, mate.
Thank you very much, buddy. Get in for that.
Right. Always nice to get a big one at the end. And today's our last full day, and it's been a bit of a wet day, to be honest, but the fishing's been really good. There's been quite a few fish caught by the lads. And I've been struggling a bit today. I've been getting a lot of weird liners, but it's all come good, and just managed to catch a 53.5. Once again, yellow sting pop-up. It's caught all the fish this week. It's been ridiculous. And I'll just have a quick look, take a quick snap with Paul. It is a proper brute. There we go. 53. Now, Paul. Oh, don't do this to me, fish. Hold on. Okay, mate. Real nice, clean, high backed. God, he's like a brute. Yeah? Nice one. Let's let him go. I'll take that all day long. 53. Right, so it's come to the last evening of our session then, and I thought I'd give you a brief rundown of what you can expect to find when you come to somewhere like Bulleen. Now, from the very beginning, Pete and Jamie were very helpful. They answered all of our questions. They are two really nice lads, you know, very enthusiastic carp anglers and very knowledgeable, and they want you to catch carp. So if you need any tips or hints, give them a message, they will reply. Everything Jamie said has been true. Now, the fishing this week has been very tough at the beginning, and it's definitely improved in the latter part of the week as we've had some better weather systems come through. So bear that in mind when you come. If you come in the spring, fishing over loads of bait this week has been pointless, absolutely pointless. At the beginning of this, you know, we talked about bait, and we thought that it'd be a great place to come and test products. They don't want bait. The water's still quite cold. They're getting around the lake and enjoying the sunshine. The best tactic this week has been Sting 12mm pop-ups. They have accounted for 99% of the captures to all of us all around the lake. Single hook bait fishing is not what you expect to do in France, but trust me, it's been the best way this week. Now, the lake has got good facilities. I've had a real nice shower, or several showers since I've been here. The shower here is very good. There is a fridge and freezer for putting your food in and putting your bait in. There are charging points for your phones, for your battery packs, and for your bait boats. There are toilets dotted around the lake. They all work, and they are a godsend. There are bait boats you can hire here, and there are rowing boats. Now, we haven't used a rowing boat this week because we were adamant that we would fish it sort of conventionally, and I think that has saved us because the fish are quite flighty, and if we'd have been out in a boat, they'd have just done the off all the time. So if you're looking for a venue in France and you've never heard of Bulleen, give these guys a call. I thoroughly recommend this lake. I've really enjoyed my time. I've been to loads of these waters now over the years, and Bulleen has got a bit of everything. It's not easy, but it's not that difficult either. I think you've got to work at it, and if you're prepared to chase the fish around and get in all the nooks and crannies, you're going to have a great week. Now, I think we're probably going to end up with about 35, 40 fish, maybe more by tomorrow. And the average size, I would say, is probably around the 30 mark. We've had quite a few 40s now, several 50s and 160. And these fish are only going upwards. So if you're looking for a decent venue in northern France, 3 hours from Calais, nice and easy to get to, real friendly guys, friendly staff, and lots of facilities, Bulleen is definitely one that I would recommend. Check out their website, and yeah, it's definitely a thumbs up from me and all of the guys here. We will be booking to come back at some point in the future.